Carmentary. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Neil, driving in my car. Today we're going to talk about snowboarding, snowboard designs, specifically the swallowtail snowboard design. This is a topic that I get asked about occasionally. I get more general questions. You know, what do you think about this board, or what do you think about that board? Especially relating to the Genten stick board designs. You know, what about the big fish? How does that compare to the chaser? What about the fly fisk? How is that compared to the... There's like all these choices. They're expensive boards. They're beautiful boards. Everybody wants to maybe own one. And I understand that there is a lot of deliberation and thought that goes into the purchase of one of these boards. So hopefully I can help a little bit today. The main focus is going to be on the swallowtail boards, the fish series. For the Genten stick, you got the rocket fish, the big fish, and the super fish. I primarily have ridden the big fish. I have a really old one that has a bamboo top sheet. It's rather soft in flex. In fact, it's very soft. Love that board. And I have a newer one that was a sample board, sample pressing, I guess, made that Taro-san from Genten Stick presented to me one day. I cherish that board. It's more recent, so it has the outline core, and that makes it a much stiffer version of the big fish. But I can speak to those shapes. I have not ridden the rocket fish. I have not ridden the super fish, but I have ridden with people who do. I've seen them ride, and I've talked to them about it, so I kind of know the differences. But today we're going to focus on the swallowtail and whether the swallowtail is the right choice for you. So there's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo that we could jump into right away. I just searched on this question real quick on Google, and I saw on a bunch of forums people are answering questions exactly of this nature. Like, what is the difference between a swallowtail, a round tail, a pin tail, a diamond tail, a square tail? There's like all these different tails. And there's technical answers for each, but I kind of disagree with some of the answers that I saw out there. I don't think it's as simple as swallowtail means less volume in the tail so you can push down on it more in the powder. I don't know if I really agree with a statement like that. There's going to be parts of that which are like technically maybe correct, and then there's going to be parts where it's like, well, that's not really the way you should look at it. So I'm going to come at it from a spiritual manner. Let's make our next snowboard purchase a spiritual purchase, or a purchase that is backed by a spiritual thought. And the thought being, I think you really have to look at who you are, what kind of style of riding you like, or what kind of style of riding you want to move towards. Because everybody has the right to change, right? So I think the two big divisions here are between a very surf style and a very skate style. I think really that, if we want to get simplistic, do you like to approach the mountain like a skater? Are you looking to pop ollies off of little things, little nubs, mushrooms, whatever it is? If you see a cat track and there's like powder below it, are you immediately trying to like launch off of that, even with just a straight air, just an ollie? Is that what you want to do? Or are you looking for the bank on the side of the cat track and you want to like carve up that and slash it, or even do like some weird alley-oop thing, or, you know, a surf inspired cutback, you know, whatever it is that more your style? Or are you one or the other, but you want to kind of move in the other direction? Like you've always been, you know, trying to skate the mountain as much as possible, but you're kind of getting tired of that, and you're in your car now, you listen to Jack Johnson and Bob Marley like way more than you listen to Metallica and Rancid or something. You know what I mean? Like, are your tastes changing, right? I think that's cool. Everybody goes through phases. everybody has a little of both inside them, right? It's all about inclusivity now. So we got to be inclusive to ourselves and our snowboarding styles. I think that's important. So I think you really need to think about that. And basically that is going to answer the question for you. The swallowtail is not a skate style tail. That's the simple answer. The swallowtail is a surf style feature. It allows you to have more length, a longer tail, but because it's a swallowtail, it's like it's got this V, there's a whole missing section there, it makes it torsionally softer. So you get this twisting effect in the tail. It's a longer tail, but it's softer. That is the key point. So you are able to do those long carves, big arcs. The whole concept of less volume in the tail so you can like push it down in the powder more, I don't really agree with that, because the whole concept of riding powder, especially here in Japan where it's not so steep, is that you want to float. You want the tail to come up out of the powder so you can be more centered on your board. And then you can, gracefully go from side to side, turn to turn, and draw these long, beautiful arcs. But I also find that even with the big fish, even with the stiffer big fish, although the softer board has a much tighter turn radius, let's put it that way. The stiffer the board gets, the more it kind of wants to go straight down the mountain. And you're gonna find yourself doing like bigger turns. But with that soft tail, you are able to kind of be really reactionary and, do these little like jump turns, or kind of use that soft tail to push in and then pop out of the turn. Like it's a more springy kind of feeling. And that's what you're really gonna get from the swallowtail. Whereas with a round tail board, it's gonna be way more like a skateboard that has a lot of pop. And you can really like, boom, you can snap off of that thing and really get some air in your ollies. Sorry folks, my battery just died. I had to plug in the camera there. So yeah, a round tail is going to be very much more like a freestyle skateboard. I remember when I first rode the manta ray, the Genten manta ray. It's like 15 years, 18 years, I don't know, it was a long time ago. Got the manta ray and was like, wow, look at this short little tail. It's like this tiny little tail. And I was not used to that. I had been riding, like Burton supermodels and customs and, just kind of general snowboards for a long time. And to see that little short tail behind me, I was like, man, what is this gonna be like? And immediately was just blown away by the ollie power of that little tail. It's kind of more of a square tail, almost a little tiny little indent maybe, a little bit of a rise, not a huge rise. It's kind of almost flat off the back. But boy, you could like float and then hit a little bump and boom, like. And at this time I was much younger, so that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to ride powder, but I also wanted to like pop off of things. I was never like a big freestyle kind of guy, but I spent a lot of time riding around with a backpack on, so that kind of limits the air time. But I did like to like pop off of things, and the manta ray was perfect for that. So that is kind of what you get with manta ray, even like a board like the Fly Fisk, Barracuda Chaser, like all of those kind of boards have that sort of a skateboardy kind of shape. The Fish series with the swallowtail, if you want to go to like Field Earth, they got some interesting boards with the swallowtail plus some other crazy stuff going on, which I won't get into today because it would get way too confusing. But let's just say Field Earth does, what is it called? It's the X8 or the X9 or the, there's a really weird board that's like a really tall board with a swallowtail. It has some crazy camber right where the swallow ends and just before your back foot. There's like this really strong little section of camber there. I guess you would call it some kind of an axle camber. And I have never ridden that board, so I cannot speak to it personally, but it's definitely, I wouldn't put a beginner rider on it, let's put it that way. But there are people who swear by it, especially at high speeds. Now, one of the comments in the forums that I read did say something about, with a Swallow, you're going to sacrifice some stability. And again, I don't know if I really truly agree with that comment. I guess they're saying that because the board is going to be torsionally softer. So at really high speeds and really choppy conditions, the board might, be a little more vibrating or squirrely or whatever. But I think if you're a strong, experienced rider who has your stance set up right and you're riding the board, kind of centered as you should be, I think you're going to be fine. Because I look at people like Omu, the guy who is sort of in charge of the big fish, and I have seen him ride, in all kinds of conditions, super high speed, even in really like spring condition corn snow on a steep face, and no problems. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think you can just say, oh, you're gonna lose some stability because it's a swallowtail. I don't know about that. It does have a lot to do with that board, the stiffness of the board. My old big fish, which has the bamboo top sheet and is really, really soft, because it was probably soft to start with, and then it's really old, so now it's really soft. Yeah, I agree. At high speeds and choppy conditions, that board is going to be like a little noodle, And in that case, just don't go that fast. I think that, like, what's the point? Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, slow down and enjoy your turns. What are you trying to do here? So yeah, I think that's another thing, is you can't expect every board to perform perfectly in every condition. So that's another aspect. It's like, what kind of conditions do you generally ride in, and what do you spiritually want to do? So let's get back to that, and we'll wrap it up on that. I really think people need to look inward more. Look deep into your soul, man. Look into your soul. What does your soul want to do? I think that's, I think people get carried away with the hype, and you get excited about these shapes. And obviously, there is the aspect of having the board, like, hanging on your wall, or, maybe in the off season, it's in your corridor in your house, and every time you walk by it, you get to look at it, and you're like, oh man, that swallowtail looks good. I'm gonna ride that. Maybe there's that aspect of it as well. So yeah, I think if you've got the budget, the cool thing is to have a variety of boards in your quiver, so that you can play around with the different personalities that are deep in your soul, man. You can bring out the surfer. You might hide it most of the time. You might be out there like, yeah, I'm skating, man. I'll do a 540, hell yeah. But there's a couple days a year when it's like fresh pow, and you're like, oh man, I just want to lay out some of those sweet soul carves, some of those bow turns. Get into it. That's when you need your swallowtail. So let's sort of let that simmer a little bit on the back burner, and think about that before you head to the snowboard shop, or get online and click add to cart, if you know what I'm saying. Well, I hope that helps, and I think we covered a couple of the technical details. It wasn't just a pure spiritual rant. Let me know what else you want to know about or have an interest in, and I'll do my best to put together my thoughts and upload it to the tube. All right, until next time, drive safe.